Hey guys, good morning and welcome back to setting up your planner. So if you recall or if you were able to check your email yesterday, I sent you an email with a quick video on the kind of roadmap for how we're going to go through this series and also some tips for how to use that very first tool you see in the planner, the year at a glance. So today we are going to dive into part 2, which is goal planning and goal setting. And I do just want to warn you ahead of time, this video is going to be a little longer and this section is going to be a little bit meatier. But don't let that scare you. I really hope and highly recommend that you will take the time to sit down and work through this section because it is really going to be, it's going to be so beneficial for you. Taking time to set goals is something I am so incredibly passionate about, and I hope to spill over a little bit of that passion onto you in this email and video section. The reason I am so passionate about it is because I truly believe that by declaring what we want for our life and our family, it gives us literally a roadmap. It sets us on a journey towards creating the life that we want. It is easy to say, oh, I wish that life could be like this, or I wish I had this, or I wish X, Y, or Z. But until we set those concrete goals and then move backwards to where we create the steps to get to that goal, we're just going to sit where we are. And, I don't want that for you. I want each of us to be moving every single day towards achieving the life that just lights our fire, fills us with joy and hope, and just really makes us cherish our time here on earth. So I will go ahead and hop down from my soapbox about how amazing goal setting is, and we will go ahead and get started. So you're going to want to go ahead and grab your planner. You're going to want to flip open to your goal planning section, which is literally just the next page after your year at a glance section. And the goal planning section is actually 2 pages, or like 4 pages, but 2 spreads. You're going to have an initial like worksheet section, kind of an area where you're going to dive in and answer some questions for 6 different categories of life. And then part 2 is where you are going to actually take everything that you answered in part 1 and turn those into concrete goals. So part 1, you will notice that's going to be this page here. Setting goals, it's going to be the one with the 3 questions along the side and all the lines across the front. And I just noticed when I flipped my thing around, there was some sunshine coming through, which on normal days, we just love sunshine. But today I'm filming in the morning and that the sun kind of comes through at terrible times sometimes. So apologies if suddenly that, you see the sunshine beaming through again. But getting back on track here. For the setting goals, you are going to notice that there are 6 categories across the top of your pages on both sections. And what those 6 headings are, those are actually 6 categories of life that I want you to focus on when you are setting your goals. Those 6 areas are personal. So that is going to be everything pertaining to you and you alone, Mama. That means we're not talking about family, we're not talking about kids, we're not talking about your spouse, we're not talking about your coworkers. It is simply you, who you are. I want you to focus on things like self-care, personal growth, things that really involve taking care of you as a human being. And then part 2, or section 2, excuse me, is relationships. This is where you're going to dive into things pertaining to you and other people. So this is going to be any relationships in your life. It can be your relationship with your spouse, your family, your coworkers, your children. Any relationship that you have, we're going to look at all of them there. Then the third one is health. This is not just your own health, but also the health of your family. Obviously, when you're setting goals, a lot of your goals are going to reflect you personally, because there's not a lot that you can do to influence the health of adults in your life, but there are things that you could do to influence the health of maybe the children in your life. If there are things like, if you're concerned about the food that's being consumed and you're kind of really wanting to ramp up better eating habits in your family, that is one area that you can include other people in this. But otherwise, you might notice that this section really pertains mostly again to you. We're going to focus on physical and mental health in this section. And then section 4 is finances. This is going to be personal finances, family finances, and if you, like me, have a small business that you're working on, you can also include small business related finances and things of that nature here as well. Section 5 is your home. Our home as moms, that is our oasis. We are literally building a place that our family gets to come back to, and a place where they get to kind of lay their head and relax. And I think we're all hoping to create a place that provides safety and reprieve for those we love. So I really want you to think about your home and how it's going for you. What kind of energy do you feel in your home? Do you feel like everybody is feeling relaxed and calm, or do you feel like maybe there's an anxious energy in the home that you would like to address? Also consider things like projects in your home. Are you working on renovating anything? Is there anything that you are wanting to see improved in the actual physical aspect of your home, not just the emotional side? And then the last thing is passions. And this, you can see I write, what lights your fire? So I want you to, again, start by focusing on yourself. That's not selfish, Mama. It's okay. You should and could focus on yourself. This is what makes you feel alive, whether it is knitting or running or creating small clay figures to sell at craft shows. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is that makes you feel alive, I want you to consider that here. I also want you to consider the things that brings passion and excitement to your family. Does your family like to go hiking? Do you like to travel? Are you a big skiing family? What are the things that you as a unit like to do together? And you're going to put that here. So now that we've gone over the 6 categories of goals, and you kind of have an understanding of what I mean by each one of those categories, now we're going to dive into the 3 big questions. These questions are designed to kind of force you to dig a little deeper into these 6 sections in your life. Because by the end of these 2 pages, I want you to really feel like you either A, have concrete goals that you have, things that you want to work on in the coming year, or that you have kind of an idea for where you want to go with improving these areas of your life. I am going to include in the email a PDF that will have some additional questions that you could use to dive a little deeper in these 6 areas. Again, goal planning is something I am super passionate about, but this is not specifically a goal planner, and so I didn't want to bog down this tool with several pages of goal planning material. So I've included some extras that you can use, and you can either answer the questions directly into your planner, or you can print it and use it as a worksheet and answer them separately. But again, those are going to be extra questions. They're going to be specific to each category to hopefully help you unearth and dive even a little deeper. So let's go over the questions. So you'll notice along that left-hand side, there are 3 questions, and they are listed in a very intentional order. The first one is what is working. I started with what is working because I think oftentimes when we think of goals, we immediately jump into what is not working. What do I need to change? What do I need to fix? And while in many cases that energy can be positive, like it kind of is a motivational, get me up and out sort of energy, sometimes it can be an overwhelming energy. It can be an energy that kind of has us feeling a little down, because it's like, man, look at all this stuff that just isn't working. Like, that's really defeating. So I never want to start with the negative. I always tell my family, like, let's start with the positive first, and then we'll go to the negative, right? Like, let's always focus on what's good first. So that way, when we move on to the stuff that's not working, we kind of have that in the back of our mind of like, this stuff isn't working, but that's okay because this stuff is. Like, my life isn't all doom and gloom. There is good. So we're going to start with that. So in each one of these sections, you are going to answer the question, what is working? Now, I do want to say one thing real quick that I forgot to mention earlier. When you are working through these 2 pages, It's just our human nature as English speakers to work from the left to the right. So if you were to sit down and look at this, you would think, oh, I'm going to answer the question, what is working for all 6 sections? Then I'm going to move on to what is not working in all 6 sections, and so on. I want you to not do that. What I would like for you to do instead is to work one column at a time. So you are going to start with personal first, or you can choose any of the 6 categories to start with, but I want you to pick a category and you are going to answer these 3 questions for each category first. And that is because, again, we are trying to unearth what our goals are for each of these sections, and bouncing around sometimes can shift our train of thought in a way that makes it hard for us to get back on track when we come back to answer question 2. So again, pick a category that you want to focus on to start. It can be any of the 6. You don't have to start with personal. You just need to start with one of them, and then you're going to work down. So you're going to answer what is working, and I want you to literally dump out everything. You do not have to be humble here. If you feel like you are crushing it in any of these 6 areas, I want you to celebrate that success. Then you're going to move on to what is not working. This is a time for you to be honest, raw, real. This is for you. Nobody else is going to see this unless you give it to them. So don't feel like you have to hide any dirty laundry. I want you to really dive deep here. I want you to be honest with yourself about what is not working in each of these categories. What things are upsetting or defeating, or things that just make you feel icky that you don't like in these areas of your life. And then once you've done that, I want you to take you're going to get most of the answer for question 3 from the answers in question 2, but you might also have some things in question 1 that you say to yourself, it's going really well, but I think it could go even better. But you're going to write out some areas in this category that you would like to see improved. So a couple of examples of that might be, maybe in relationships, you say, hey, I love that I get to meet up. I have regular meetups with girlfriends each week, and I love that. And I love my time with them. But right now in my season of life, it's becoming a little harder to manage that time each week. So what I'd like to see improve is I would like to discuss maybe moving to, instead of coffee every week, maybe we do like one big dinner a month where we come together for a little bit longer time, but it's something a little more sustainable with our schedules. Or maybe in your health, you say, what is not working is I really want to be getting out. I'm just not feeling my best. I'm feeling sluggish and tired, and I think that getting out and doing some exercise each day would help. One of the things you could say as improvement is I want to improve the amount of physical movement my body does each day. So those are kind of some examples that you're going to put in that area. That's kind of the way I want your mind to be working is how do you want to see things improve? In a perfect world, if you could improve it in any way you want, how would you like to see it improved? And I want you to really pour out on these pages. I think that I'm a firm believer in pen to paper therapeutics. So really, really spend some time here. If you feel like you need more paper, honey, go grab a journal, grab a notebook, whatever you need to do, but continue working through these questions until you feel like you have at least 1 to 2 things that you would like to see improved in all 6 of these categories. All right, so we have completed part 1, and now it is time to move on to part 2, where we take all of those questions or all those answers to those questions, and we now turn them into actual goals. So when we left section 1, we answered the question, what are areas I'd like to see improved in this category? And the answers that you put in there are what I like to consider the kindling to the fire. They are not going to be the thing that makes the fire burn well, but they are definitely the thing that's going to get the fire started. And so we are going to take those answers, and now we're going to start asking one very specific question, and that is how. So let's use the finances, for example, or the financial section, for example. If the thing we want to see improved is our spending, we ask ourselves the question, how? How do I get my spending improved? How do I improve my spending? Then the answers start flowing. Well, right now, maybe it's a pain point is I don't like how much we eat out. That is an area. Eat out less. Perhaps we say, how do I improve my spending? Well, if I had a savings account, that feels like it would be improving my spending. That would be more intentional use of my money. Okay, let's create a savings account. And then maybe the other one is, how do I improve my spending? Well, if I know where my money's going, that would improve my spending. Okay, how can I do that? Well, I can create a budget. Using that question of how will help us to kind of get the wheels turning to create the goals. We take those thoughts and we turn them into goals. So now in the category of finances, we have 3 goals. That's awesome. So we would write those down in the my goals for the year. So now you want to increase, or you want to decrease eating out. You want to create a savings plan or a savings account, a savings goal, and you want to have a monthly budget to keep you on track. Awesome. Those are incredible goals. But before we solidify them as our goals for the new year, I want you to consider that ALIGN worksheet that we talked about, that ALIGN acronym that we talked about, because I want you to ask yourself each of these questions when it comes to these goals. Is there a way that you can be accountable to this goal? So is there a way you can track it? So if we look at those 3, eating out, we can track that. We can know whether or not we've eaten out. Setting a savings goal, absolutely we can track that. And then creating a budget, absolutely. So that fits. Is it lively? Is it adding value or improving the energy of your life? When it comes to finances, if you feel like you're being more intentional with your money, then absolutely, honey, it is making your life better. It is improving the energy of your home and life. Is it intentional? These 3 goals, if you set forward on achieving these goals, are your steps intentional towards creating the life you want? Not eating out as much sounds very intentional. Not only is it intentional for your finances, but it's also intentional for your health and wellness. Excuse me. Number 2, creating a savings plan. Again, very intentional. That has forethought of future expenses, future goals. And then creating a budget. Absolutely intentional. That is down to the core intentional of creating a plan for your money. Is it genuine? Do these goals reflect your family's passions and values? Well, if you're telling me that you want to be more intentional with your money, well, why do you want to be more intentional with your money? If you're saying, I want a savings account because my family loves to travel and we're just not able to do it. I want to make sure that we are using our money in a way that's helping us to do the things we love to do. That sounds genuine to me. That sounds like you are doing this for the right reasons. And then the last one, nurturing. Will completing this goal add value to your life? Again, that kind of goes back to genuine. If you completed this, if you make it to the end of this year and you didn't eat out as much as you used to, you stuck to a savings plan and you stuck to your budget, will doing those and achieving those goals and the energy you put into it worth it? Would they be worth it? At the end of it, would you feel like, yes, absolutely. By achieving these goals, I have added value to my home and life. If you answer yes to all of that, or you answer that in a positive way for all of those questions, then this is your goal. This is one of your goals for the new year. So as a reminder, this PDF is in the email. You can print it out. You are welcome to literally write on the paper. That's kind of how this is designed, is to answer for each of your goals these questions so that you can leave this section knowing that the goals you are pouring your heart and energy into are ones that are going to be worth it at the end of the year. So you are going to go through that for all 6 sections. You are going to create your goals. And then you are going to go one step deeper and we are going to look into, okay, great, I have these goals. For many of us, that is where we stop. And that is where things get a little tricky, is because we come out of the gate with this beautiful New Year's energy with all these goals we want to achieve, but then we pitter away and come February we're just like and we kind of go back to a place of desiring change but not actually moving towards change. So the way that we make sure that we continue to move towards change even once the New Year's energy has depleted is by having actual steps that we can work towards each day. If you are anything like me, you probably thrive with to-do lists. And so this is basically a to-do list to make your goals happen. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the goals that you've set in for each section, and then you're going to create action steps for each of those goals. So keeping that in mind, make sure that you are being reasonable with the goals that you are asking of yourself. It is very easy, especially when you're riding the tide of the New Year's energy, to come out of the gates with 5, 6, 7 goals for each of these sections. You come out with an energy of, I am going to transform my entire life. Come December of next year, I will be a whole new woman. And that is admirable, but it's also generally not feasible because, again, we are busy moms. So when you're setting your goals, I really would recommend that you only create 1 to 3 goals per category for now. I say for now because this planner is designed with goal planning in mind. And so each quarter or every 3 months, you will have a place where you are able to reassess your goals. So some of these goals might be ones that you achieve pretty quickly. They become habitual, and they actually are so habitual that they can leave your goal planning radar because it's now just something you do in your life. And at that time, you can add in another goal. So again, make sure that when you leave this, when you're finished here, you leave with 1 to 3 goals per category. It doesn't have to be 3, at least 1 per each category, but no more than 3. So that way you are being mindful of the energy that you actually do have to apply to this, because yes, I know that it might in this moment be hard to remember, but you are going to have busy days that are packed full of all the wonders of momming, and you might not have as much energy and time and resources to apply to more than 3 goals. So let's stick to 1 to 3 per category there. And then you're going to drop down to the bottom section here, and this section here says steps to achieve those goals. So you are going to write out 1 to 5 action steps for each of those goals. Now, some of your goals may only need 1 action step. It may be, if you say something like, I want to create a savings plan. Okay, well, that could simply be put $100 in savings every paycheck. That's easy. You don't really have to do a whole lot more. That's the only action step you have. So now you take that action step and you make it happen in your life. So you add savings as a bill each pay period. And so when you pay your car insurance or you pay your mortgage, you also pay your savings account, and it just puts $100 into your savings account and it sits there. And now now you're achieving that goal. And by putting that money in, you are completing your action step. And by completing your action step, you are working towards completing that goal. If you wanted to take that a step further, you could say in your goal could be a little more specific. I want to have an account. I want to have an emergency fund with $3,500 in it. So now your action step is you put $100 in every single pay period until you reach $3,500, and then you can reassess and adjust your goal at that time. But that's an example of an action step. So you are going to create an action step, again, 1 to 5 action steps for each goal. Your bigger goals are going to likely include more action steps. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing all of the action steps at the same time, but it gives you, again, that roadmap for how to get to your goal. Kind of a visual, maybe example or representation of this would be like going on vacation. If our goal is to get to Florida, well, how do we get there? So it might involve, we drive to Tennessee and then we get a hotel room and we stay the night there because kids are crazy and they don't like driving through, they're just cranky. They're going to sleep in a hotel, not the car. And then we wake in the morning and then we drive, so far and we stop for lunch. And then we drive a little bit further and finally we get to our place in Florida. Each of those stops would be what we consider an action step. And so you're not necessarily going to be working on all of them at the same time, but you at least give yourself a roadmap for how to achieve your goal. So in your email, you will find kind of a written outline, because I know I've talked a lot here. And if you're not comfortable with goal planning and goal setting, this might feel very overwhelming. So I have included a PDF of kind of the steps of goal planning, and you can print that and work through that alongside your Align worksheet, and that will help you to work through these pages as well. And hopefully by the end, you have a goal, at least one goal in each of these 6 categories, and then you can move forward each month with intention and planning. Okay, so this section is a long one. I did forewarn you of that because now the next thing I want to talk to you about is the tools that exist in the planner to help you achieve the action steps you have set. So you set these action steps here, and that is amazing work. Once you finish this, like, you should feel so accomplished, but the tracking aspect, that accountability, that A on our Align worksheet is very important. And truthfully, I would say it's probably the most important exercise in this goal planning section, because that is what actually means you're moving forward. Doing all of this work is great, but if you're not moving forward, all of this work was for nothing. And so each month in this planner, you will see that there are tools specifically designed to help you achieve these goals. I will ask you questions that reflect back to this work that you've done. So that's one of the reasons why I say do this work. Do not skip over this. So let's go through January to give you an example of the tools you can expect to see in your month that are going to help you achieve your goals. So in January, for each month, you will notice this section here, and this is what is my inspiration for the month. You can use this section in whatever way you choose to use it, but one great way to use it is to write out the goals that you're working on that month, and like what is inspiring you that month to keep chasing those goals. Then on the back side of that, you will see some previous month reflection and month ahead planning. In this area, it talks about last month. What are the goals that you want to, or progress that you want to celebrate? So take some time to give yourself a pat on the back and talk about the things the steps you took, the things you achieved, and how that made you feel. And then also the things that you're still working on. You might have achieved a little bit, but you're still working. And then moving forward to the next month, I ask the question, what are the steps you're taking towards your goals this month? If it is meal planning, or if it is improving your spending, and the goal is I don't want to eat out, I want to eat out less, well, then I'm meal planning every single week. That's going to help you achieve that goal. This is generally where you can list out some of those action steps that you created in the beginning that you intend to work on in that month. And then the other thing that you will notice is each week there is this section here. This is your daily habit tracker. This habit tracker can include general things like brush your teeth every day, but what I recommend is use this space to track your action steps. So if you are wanting to improve your spending, and the way that you chose, the goal you set to improve your spending is you don't want to eat out as much, put a daily habit of here of I eat dinner at home every night. You might not eat dinner at home every night, but you'll check off the days that you did eat at home, and you will get a visual representation of the progress you are making. And I promise you, seeing it in real time is so motivating. It is so uplifting. It helps us to see that, yes, the work I'm doing matters. The work I'm doing is making a difference. So that is how you can use the tools in your monthly and weekly spreads to achieve your goals. And then I had mentioned earlier that there is a place in each of the quarters to refresh your goals. So every 3 months, you will see this section at the end of that month. So this is at the end of March. It is your quarterly goal evaluation. And again, you see your 6 categories across the top. And then there are 3 questions or reflection points that you are going to go through for each of those 6 categories. You are going to celebrate your progress. Again, we're starting with the positive every single time. You're going to celebrate your progress. And then you're going to talk about the work you still need to do. This is not to be negative. It is just to be honest, to say, yes, I have done a lot, but I still am working here, and that is A-okay. And then you are going to put your focus points for the next quarter. This is a place for you to say, hey, I'm making some changes. I've achieved these things. I'm adjusting these things. I'm adding these things in. That is where you can change. You could use this space to create a completely new goal in a category. So say that you feel like, hey, I'm nailing meal planning. That is habitual. It's not something I need to focus on anymore. So I'm going to now instead focus on debt repayment as far as my finances go. Like if I'm trying to improve my spending, I'm going to don't eat out as much out of my goals, and I'm going to add in debt repayment. And so then now that's your goal. Now you create new action steps towards achieving that goal, and that is one of the things you'll work on for the next couple of quarters or however long until you feel like you've achieved that goal. And again, that quarterly evaluation is in after every 3 months, so you will have a handful of those throughout the planner as well. And then at the end of your planner, at the end of December, you will see a final quarterly evaluation or goal review. And again, this is where we go through and we celebrate the things that we have achieved and we look forward to the next year. It might feel kind of funny that I'm talking about this now. I'm not wanting you to think about this right now. I'm just letting you know that this does exist in here as well. So it is another place where you will touch on your goals. The end of the year review is designed to kind of help propel you into your next year's planner. So the work that you do fill out in this section will help make the goal setting section of your newest planner easier to do as well. So I hope that all of this was helpful. I know this was a very long section, but I just couldn't bring myself to truncate it. I actually tried recording this series of videos several times, but the truth is it is just too much goodness, and I'm far too passionate about goal planning to try and abbreviate it in any way. I really, really want you to feel how beneficial goal planning can be. Now, if at any point over the next couple of days while you are working through this, you have questions, you are confused, you need some guidance, send me a DM on Instagram or find me on Facebook or just reply to this email and I will help you. And together we can work through hopefully making some of this make sense and get you set with your goals for the new year. Have a great day, friends.